What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome to my comprehensive breakdown of the Duo Marth and Mythic Elm banner. Slightly late to it, but I think you're going to be enjoying the upgrades that I've done in my format, and these are all of the topics I'm going to be covering in this video. So let us begin with Duo Marth, and this is basically the first time we have got the repetition of the same lead unit. So he was there with Elise, his sister, in the Winter Duo version, and now here he is with Sita. So this time he is a sword flyer, and this kind of Marth is just gonna be doing a lot of the things that his other alts do, but much better and all together. So here he has got Sword of Peace as a 16 might weapon. This does have Sling built in it, and then he has got a bit of a joint drive effect for the allies in 3 spaces and for himself. So he gives out the allies the +5 attack and speed in the combat, which can certainly help you, but there are the feud effects, which is going to be ignoring all of this. And then he has got the Preempt Pulse support as well, so this does stack up with the Preempt Pulse status, or if you have other Preempt Pulse support with the other units. And then he heals up 10 HP to himself and also to those 3 space allies. So this can help you basically tank better. And this kind of Preempt Pulse is going to be there before your first attack, so it's a bit more offensive, but the healing also helps with the self-sustain. And then if he's within 3 spaces of an ally, then he's going to be getting stats depending on the number of allies in 3 rows and 3 columns centered on him times 3 added with 5. So here, as you can see, the check is going to be having any kind of ally in 3 spaces. So this means that, for taking out this Duo Marth, you must first go through his friends and kill them first, because that way his weapon effect is not going to be active, and then you're going to be able to kill him much easily. So he is a problematic unit, certainly a unit that can checkmate you with all of the tools that he has got. But even bigger problem are the units that have their conditions active no matter if they're at 1 HP or if they are the last unit standing, similar to Nidhogger. So that is a counterplay against Marth, and then he's going to be having the true damage, which isn't going to be there for the AoE specials, and he also has the half of the true damage that he gets as the flat damage reduction on the first attack of the enemy, including the brave hits. So this is going to be Excel style of damage reduction, and it is going to be having another layer of it if you trigger an offensive special against him. And that's the reason why a lot of times you see units use their defensive specials like Pavis, like Miracle, and a big reason why is because of this Excel style of damage reduction, because it penalizes you for triggering your specials, and that's a reason why Rune, Legendary Micaiah, even Attuned Micaiah run stuff like Miracle. It does go against the offensive playstyle because it's not going to be giving you the damage, but still you're going to be avoiding the extra layer of flat damage reduction that is activated against your special. So that's something to consider. And basically this true damage that he gets is similar to a better treachery effect, because it is going to be counting the highest total buffs among himself and the allies in 3 spaces. So this does not go cumulatively, it is basically going to be taking the highest visible buffs, and he can buff up 7 to all stats of himself and his allies. So even if he faces any kind of dull or lull enemy, he can basically count on his allies to get the true damage and the flat damage reduction. So this is a pretty common thing, and again, a reason why I said that he should be going through his friends first, and he gets half of the true damage that he gets as the flat damage reduction in 2 layers. And then he also has the 50% damage reduction piercing on every single hit, so it is there passively. It is not the full piercing, but with his multiple hits, this is definitely going to be helpful. And then he has got his special in the Fire Emblem, not to be confused with, Fire Emblem special, which other Marths have got. So this is an exclusive skill, and it's a 2 cooldown special that becomes 1 cooldown with his weapon, and this is going to be scaling off based on 40% of his speed. And at sort of both player phase and enemy phase, he's going to be giving himself and the allies in 2 spaces the Spectrum +7 buff, and this is really powerful for stat stacking because he also gives out the Null Panic status. So he's not going to be weak to a lot of the panic effects which are used to deal with this kind of buff reliant playstyle. And we do see null panic on stuff like Ashera, and Marth gives those buffs, and on top of that he gives that null panic, and then he gives the Fire Emblem status as a new status. So this is a unique one, and I feel like this is only going to be limited to him. So this is basically going to be nullifying any kind of effective damage that the enemy can do against your allies. And this is huge because the effective damage multiplier is the reason why Attuned Micaiah, Legendary Micaiah are just so ridiculous when it comes to their damage output. So when you turn off that multiplier, it means that you have an easier time tanking with someone like maybe New Year Nidogre, which would be a bit harder against Attuned Micaiah. So this kind of null effective damage as a status is really good. So as a big Micaiah enjoyer, this is not the greatest, but this is what is going to be helping Marth in the future stay relevant, because this is a really unique and useful effect. And then he gets 40% unpierceable damage reduction, and basically he scales off this unpierceable damage reduction based on the number of allies that have got the Fire Emblem status active on the entire map times 10. So if you've got 4 allies, including Marth, then you're going to be getting the max 40% unpierceable damage reduction, and this is another layer of flat damage reduction, which just makes him so tanky. And then he essentially has distant bonus doubler built into this special. I say that because it also has the bonus doubler effect. It doesn't really give you the +4 to all of these stats, but it is basically going to be distant counter along with a modern bonus doubler effect. So he does not need to run any kind of distant counter, melee sacred seal, and that makes him a really good omni tank and just a usual mixed phase unit. And then finally he has got 10 flat damage reduction on foes first attacks, including the brave hit. So as you can see, he gets a ton of flat damage reduction, and that's the reason why you should be a bit careful facing him, because in certain game modes like Arena, he's gonna be checkmating you basically, because he's gonna be so tanky if you do not kill his allies. And then he has got another preferred skill in his slot B, because he's Marth, and Shield of Hope is gonna be there, giving him -5 attack speed and defense debuff on the foe. It has got the full null follow-up, which is easier to outsource now, but still he's a flyer. And then he has got the effects akin to Brave Marth, which honestly I really enjoyed. I love this kind of buff reliant playstyle. So basically it is going to be taking the highest total buff value of 3 space allies, and if the buff value in total is 20 or more, then he gets the potent 100% hit. And this is going to be similar to Emblem Marth, because he was the one who introduced the potent hit, and ironically he is the one that now can free up his slot B and just take advantage of Lasering Ira's potent effect. So the potent 100% hit is definitely good. And then if the total buff value is 40 or more, he gets the vantage, similar to Brave Marth. And keep in mind that this vantage is good because it is not reliant on any kind of stat check. Usually the vantage effects that are reliant on some stat check like Ninja Camilla or, you know, the speed preempt effects are going to be falling off, as the units that come in future are going to be having more stats. That's the thing that Duo Winter Marth basically had to face. So this kind of non-stat check vantage that Brave Marth had was always useful. And if the total buff value is 60 or more, then he gets the null counter disrupt effect, which means that he is not going to be getting affected by any kind of flash status or any kind of sweep effect. So that is also going to be adding to his prowess of just checkmating you if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. And then he has got the enemy phase desperation, which is also akin to Emblem Marth, but this is only going to be on the first enemy phase combat per turn. But still, this can again checkmate you if you're at the wrong place, because you are going to be losing one of your units. So he doesn't get the desperation in the player phase, so he is slightly more enemy phase oriented with his Vantage playstyle. And I love the fact that Vantage is making a bit of comeback, because now we've got Emblem Erica, who has got the dual phase Brave weapon. She's just hit so hard that she has made Brave Bernadetta come back into the meta, and the combo of those were used quite a lot in the previous Summoner Duels S, and now we've got another Vantage unit. Now the thing with Hardy Bearing Sacred Seal is that there's only one of it, so either it goes on your defensive units so that you do not get nuked by the Desperation nukes, both on the melee side of things and also against the range foes, which are going to be having the support of Emblem Lin, or you put it on some kind of nuke that can Hardy Bearing through this kind of Vantage unit like Duo Marth. So that is the choice you'll have to make, and they could definitely increase the stocks of Hardy Bearing by making it a status or making it into the weapon of some of the units like they did with Attuned Young Tiki. So I feel like Hardy Bearing has always shown a bit of restraint when it comes to being there, and a lot of the effects is just so good. It's such an old Sacred Seal, but it proves its value even though it doesn't give any kind of stats compared to other Sacred Seal. It's just that valuable. So that is one of the ways of always countering the Vantage unit, but again, the opportunity cost is going to be there. And then he has got Blue Skies 4, which we saw first on Emblem Erica not that long ago. I'm just wondering where momentum was left from Emblem Sigurd because we still haven't seen that. I don't know what they're cooking with it. So Blue Skies does give him the Canto, the +8 attack and speed in the combat, and gives you 8 flat damage reduction and 8 true damage. So it is good offensively, and that basically compresses the Canto that he was missing. This is going to be his slotty skill that he would like to use, and then he has got Speed Defense Hold Guide. So this is Omni Guidance 4 built into a skill along with Aerial Maneuvers Warping. And then it has got the Hold debuff, the upgraded Rain debuff basically. So this is really good compression, but the thing is that we have so much warp blocking. And Marth isn't really a unit that has got pass in his kit, like Young Camilla, for example, or Aided Yunaka. So while you can have all of these warping skills, you're still going to be getting checked by the warp blocking of Higher Ground, Lower Ground, Barricade. So you'll have to watch out for that, and you'll have to run pass as your slot B skill, or simply use the units that already have pass in their kit, which I did mention. And then he has got his duo skill, which is going to be there in Arena and also in Summoner Duels for its usage. So it is basically going to be refreshing the highest HP ally in 2 spaces. So having the dance in a duo unit is ridiculous. If you have got this unit for your Arena core, Arena is going to be a joke for you because he just does so many things himself. And then on top of it, he refreshes your highest HP ally. So that just gives you flexibility, and then he supports them with Potent status and Dull Alt status. So that helps offensively, and because he's a modern duo unit, he's going to be scoring like a 215 BST unit. So trust me, you're going to be running into some +10 duo Marths and tier 21 Arena, and it is going to be miserable because, oh boy, if you thought Nidhookers were checkmating you, because duo Marth is truly going to be shining in Arena because the options that you have to counter him are limited. And if you do not have the right units, then he's just going to be running through your team, or he's going to be enabling his allies to run through your team with his Slotsy skill, the warping that he provides. So that's why having Barricade is just so helpful in Arena, because a lot of the pass units do not make it to Arena in the higher echelons of scoring, except for Legendary Male Shez. But still, his combat is not as insane as Young Camilla, I would say, or even Aided Inaka. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to that. Hopefully we get some more blue units, and I certainly feel like I made a good decision investing in my newer female Kana. Hopefully I can upgrade her with the fodder of Rearm Nell and Divine Codes, because I need that barricade against the Slotsy skill of Duo Marth. And when it comes to team building with Duo Marth, he has a very buff reliant playstyle, which you are going to be familiar with if you have used the other alts of Marth. So it basically gives you the good old comfort food basically, and because of that, Ektanir is going to be at the top when it comes to the good allies, because he extends the ceiling of the visible buffs that Marth can give out to the other allies. So we're going to be having +10 visible buff to all of these stats, and then he gives the bonus doubler status, so that just takes the stat stacking to another level. And Attuned Micaiah is also really helpful, not only for her cleansing, but unlike Ninja Celine, what she can do is basically convert the penalties into the buffs, and that is going to be, again, helping you with the stat stacking with Duo Marth and his playstyle. Plumeria is also amazing dancer, and she can debuff the enemies, just make the stat swing even harder, and she also refreshes your Kanto. The frozen status that she can inflict is also helpful to Marth because he just stacks up so much defense and he is extremely fast, so that is useful. And then dosage status, in my opinion, of Nidhogger is helpful just as a failsafe because you don't want to get your Fire Emblem and all of these status effects stolen, and dosage also provides you the stats and the healing, so it basically helps you with your playstyle. And Legendary Sakura gives you the ice terrain with her ice lock, so that can limit the approach options of the enemies, and then she gives you even more true damage, and giving more true damage is good with the vantage playstyle. Speaking of that, you can also use Desert Marissa to get the dual phase brave effect, so if you don't want to run Emblem Erica Ring on your Marth, then Desert Marissa is going to be a top tier vantage supporter. And then we also have Young Elise, who is a 4-star focus from the Young banner. And the reason why she's so good is because she can give out the treachery status. And in my opinion, she is the better treachery status support unit for Marth compared to Catherine or Rearmed Lucina, because Elise also gives you the special charges status. And she also can give you the ice lock utility. So again, it's really good in terms of the playstyle of Marth. And you already have so many buffs with Marth, and stacking the treachery status on top of it is going to be helping you. Of course, you'll just have to watch out for the Dal and Lull effect, but still it can help you in many of the matchups. Ymir gives you the middle of the turn cleansing, and she also gives you the miracle, which is going to be a failsafe if you face any kind of insane hardy bearing unit. So having miracle from Ymir or Duo Rhea is good. And Elamine is also a consideration after her remix. She can also run Ice Lock, so again, the utility is there. And then you can just double down on the aggressive melee nukes or range nukes along with Marth and take advantage of the visible buffs and basically the extra stats he gives along with Null Panic's protection. And as I said, he doesn't have any kind of pass in his kit. He cannot run that because his lobby skill is the preferred skill. So unless we get some kind of pass status, it is looking a bit hard for him to do that, even if it ends up being an attune skill. So that's why running some of the units with pass is really good, like Young Camilla or Aided Yunaka along with Marth, because they can take advantage of the warping he provides, but on top of it, they just have the pass built in. And Legend Mail Shez is also an option because he can function as a warp unit after Marth acts like a beacon, basically. So he can warp super far away, and Lilith can also do the same. She is also an underrated unit after Refine, and she can compress the role really well because she can run Soaring Echo, Barricade, and then she can also run Pass in her slot B. She can even set up the terrain if you want to. So she can offer a lot of things, and then Emblem Lin is going to be giving you the player phase brave effect and also the Preempt pulse status. And she can just snipe things from far away and make it easier for Marth if you just snipe their warp blocking unit. When it comes to the builds of Duo Marth, it is pretty straightforward. I feel like Emblem Erica Ring is the best for him because it gives you the brave effect, and that is helpful in both phases. It also helps with his vantage playstyle. I do like Attack Speed Prime as the Sacred Seal because of its mixed phase application, and it is going to be always active because of the status effects that he can give out. And unless we face, Duo Thor or Valentine Dimitri or more units that can erase these status effects, this is going to be a good Sacred Seal. You can also run Endless Tempest on him. It does seem like an odd choice, but it helps you with the stat swing because it compresses the Dull effect onto Marth, and he also gets the extra movement, and then he can warp using Emblem Celica Ring. And as I said, if you already have other units that can enable the warping, then you could also choose to go this route with Marth. And he can also run Brutal Tempest if you want to, because it is going to be giving you the better Kanto, but I do feel like I like the Dull effect out of Endless Tempest on him because, again, he's going to be stat stacking really hard. And then at absolute max investment, you can just run him with Harsh Command Plus, and that is going to be the Marth you're going to be seeing in Arena. And his portrait is just so big, you cannot even see the Summoner support background. And now let's go over the best users of Speed Defense Hold Guide. So I do try and go over the best users of any kind of new skill, and hopefully this format can help. And Blue Skies is also something you can try and inherit at the same time, because the prerequisite of Speed Defense Hold Guide is Speed Defense Rain 3, which is not all that hard to get. Blue Skies is going to be eating up 4 inherits, and usually I'm not in the favor of duplicating these kinds of scales that eat up 4 slots, but I think Blue Skies is a really good scale, and it is kind of one of the exceptions for me, so you can just duplicate it with Attune Peony or Attune Triandra, and these scales are also good on these dancers because they can get the Canto out of these slot A scales, so if they ever want to run a cantrip scale, that can provide you the flexibility, and the Blue Skies also gives you better Canto compared to Firestorm Dance, so I like it, and the Speed Defense Hold Guide is amazing on a Flying Dancer, so you need to be a melee flyer to make use of this skill, so range units unfortunately are not going to be able to get that kind of aerial maneuvers and Omni Guidance effect. And the aerial maneuvers is especially good on these dancers because it lets them warp to their allies, and usually they're going to be a bit far away from the warp blocking that you've got. So that way you can still make use of the aerial maneuvers, but for refreshing your allies instead of engaging on the enemy. And here comes Bridal Katria. She is going to be getting refined, not that far off. So she can use Blue Skies and Assault Force and just have an offensive build now. And with the help of Speed Defense Hold Guide, you just have the flexibility of using a different attune scale. So you can use Mercy Wing Echo right now. And we also have Lettering Sita who can give the support to her allies. And she does want to have Attack Speed XL for just making sure that she can survive, and enabling this warping is also going to be helping her as a support unit, and I kind of like her remix and refine that she's got. It's not the worst. We also have more dancers, and here we have got the best dancer in the game in Spring Plumeria, so she just gives out ridiculous support, and now she can enable the warping of any kind of unit, and she can warp herself. Then she has got the Canto Refresh in her weapon, so that is absurdly powerful. And the only fairy dancer, like the mythic fairy dancer that can make use of this, is going to be Mirabolis. So you could have this in Aether Raids defense. She's not the best anima mythic, but still, she is going to be an interesting option with some of the teams, and you could certainly plan out the dance effect, and she can make the full use out of her resistance and defense for many of the checks. And because of her lower attack, she is hopefully not going to be engaging in the combat much. Then we have got player phase units like Jill, and she can run Speed Taker for the Null Guard, and she already has the +1 movement out of her Tall Regan Axe. She also gives that out to her allies, so having more support with the Hold Guide is good. There's also Irenas, who also appreciates that, and you can just run Sigurd Ring for having the +1 movement, because I do feel like it does have utility in case you face any kind of warp blocking enemies. You can also run Pass in the slot B of many of these units, and I think Irenas has a bit easier time running that because of her stacked weapon refine, so that is certainly a route that she can take. And Trample is a very powerful player phase option that we have got now, which is going to be compressing the Desperation effect into your slot A skill. And then we have got another dancer in Eldringen, and while he doesn't have a preferred dance, he still has access to Jihana Lance, which can give the visible buffs, the dot status, and the null debuff status. Then he can run Firestorm Dance 3, and now he can enable the warping and warp himself, so he can certainly make use of it. And if I get the fodder, I'm definitely going to be upgrading my Eldigan. And we also have Summer Male Shez, who is going to be getting used in Arena quite a bit for many of his +10 users. He doesn't really score all that high, but this is a pretty good skill on any kind of arena flyer. And then finally, I've got the build for Arcane Giant Axe users and any kind of Lance users. So basically, they're going to be able to make use of the flat damage reduction from Pegasus Rift and function in the mixed phase. For Jihana Lance users, they do get the damage reflection, and that is stupid good, as you have seen by now. So that's why having the flat damage reduction with Blue Skies and the Rift skill is good. And for an old unit like Camilla, this can free up her attune slot for running something like Distant Counter Echo or just any kind of attune skill in the future. And for an older unit like Camilla, this is going to be a really insane upgrade, because you can just compress a lot of the effects and then stack up the flat damage reduction with the Arcane Giant Axe. We have got Mythic Elm as a surprising unit that we have just got. This was a nice chance of Brother Fafnir, but we have got the Fallen banner coming up. So Mythic Elm is a red beast flyer, and he does have his upgraded weapon in Jaws of Closure. So this is going to be having slaying built in it, and he has got the in combat undefended effect. So the enemy units are not going to be able to trigger their savior effects against him, and that makes him a really strong melee nuke because not only he has got really good combat, but he also has this utility where he can go in and snipe something, and he is a flyer. He has got that mobility, he has got the extra movement innately in his weapon, and then he can have the warping on top of it, and then he has got an absurd effect which is going to be triggering after he has acted. So keep in mind, this is not at start of turn, which means that it is not going to be getting cleansed by Freyr, who prevents the at start of turn stat effects from being, inflicted right there. And that's a reason why you do not see that many ploy skills or a lot of the discord skills, because Freyr just cleanses all of them, and you're not going to be seeing that in the Astra season. And the middle of the turn debuff is the main downfall of Freyr's cleansing, because it means that you're able to just use stuff like Dual Lucina, and you can just use middle of the turn detect effect and inflict the middle of the turn debuff. And we are seeing quite a lot of middle of the turn debuff allies because Freyr is there, and if they're able to have another action, then hey, that's good for action economy. So he's only going to be inflicting this on the closest foes in 5 spaces. He does not splash this to the other enemy units, so that is worth noting. And we have mainly seen Rearm Layla, Bride Embla inflict this undefended status, and they are extremely powerful in Aether Raids offense, and that's the reason why Freyr is just omnipresent. But here we just have Elm who can inflict that undefended status in middle of the turn, and that's a really big deal. It kind of gives me the flashback to when we got Freyr or even Elamine, because it fundamentally changes how we play the game, because these saves are going to be getting devalued a bit now because of Elm support. And previously you basically had to use Freyr so that you do not instantly lose to any kind of good player who pilots Rearm Layla. And now that we've got Elm, it is kind of funny, but Freyr is going to be better as an off-season mythic in the dark season, because Elm is an Astra mythic unit. You're not going to be using him in the light season, and a lot of hardcore players are going to be aiming for the rank 1. So they're not going to be using Elm because that is going to be costing them the lift on every single offense match that they use him. But as a defense player, you can just have off-season Freyr, and I mean, you're going to be losing the lift, but you're still going to be losing the lift if you do not have the cleansing of Freyr, because Attune Micaiah, Ninja Saline's cleansing can be easily overloaded by a lot of debuffs that Rune can provide, the other units can provide. So it's not all that hard for Rearm Layla to inflict the undefended status and make it stay against those 2 cleansers, but Freyr is going to be preventing that. And then we have got the 3-row and 3-column debuff on the foes in the combat, so it is going to be Omni -5 debuff and also 50% damage reduction piercing, and this is going to be giving the flexibility to his allies, because you can choose not to run the piercing skills like Tempo Echo, Magical Null Follow-Up, or the Tempo 4 skills, and instead you could opt for another skill that can maybe help you stack up the true damage. So it can give you the options on your builds, and if you are going to be using Elm as your core mythic, then that just opens up more options for your builds. And then he's going to be getting extra stats in the combat depending on his HP threshold. So this is going to be up to +9. He already gets the Omni -5 from the previous effect. And then he has got some ridiculous amount of true damage and also quite a lot of flat damage reduction. And this is going to be based on number of foes in 3 spaces of the target, including the target. And max this is going to be 4. So 4 multiplied by 8 is going to be 32 true damage, basically. And that way you're able to get so much damage output. He is going to be a strong nuke, especially with his in-combat defended status. And then it is going to be 4 multiplied by 6 for his flat damage reduction. So 24 flat damage reduction on the first attacks is certainly not a joke when you have got such a strong nuke. And then because of being a flying beast, he does have the +1 movement and the +2 attack on his transform. he does have the Nimble Beast, which is going to be a really good skill, but I feel like he can also run Miracle or Gale Force. Those are options for him. And then he has got his slotty skill, New Opening, and this is going to be having the Fortune transformation built in it, which is going to be making it easy for him to transform. And then he is going to be easily able to get all of the effects out of the skill if he's transformed. So he gets +9 to all of his stats. He also gets the Null Guard effect, which is the reason why I said that he can also easily run Gale Force on him. And then he gets another layer of true damage and flat damage reduction. And the flat damage reduction he gets is the Excel style, which I did explain in my Duo Marth section. So basically, you're going to be having another instance of it against the offensive specials, and it is going to be like 12 true damage and flat damage reduction. And this kind of flat damage reduction and true damage is going to be there even if he falls below the threshold of his weapon, because this is going to be just requiring him to transform, so it is there. And then you also get the 7 HP healing after the combat. So you're not able to use him like a beacon, but with the Wings of Mercy beacon playstyle isn't really used all that much nowadays because you just have so many offensive tools. So I personally don't really use it that much, and I know a lot of the players in Vault of Heaven also do not. Then he comes with Bestial Agility. We did see this before on Spring Aether, and this is going to be giving you Canto minimum 2, and then it also gives you the true damage based on the higher of your speed or defense, so it is flexible in that regard. And then it gives you the full null follow-up. So I did prefer Beast Assault quite a bit over this skill, but I guess now with the refine of Duo Lin, with the effects that units like Elm can provide to their allies, it's just a toss-up between what kind of support you have on your team. If you have null follow-up, then run Beast Assault. If you do not have the piercing as the support, then run Bestial Agility. Again, null follow-up is overall going to be slightly easier to outsource even right now, but it just depends on the fodder you've got and the support of the team. And then he has got Preempt Screech as a new skill, and this is going to be a Beast exclusive skill except for the Beast armors, because there is Fallen Edelgard, and I guess they don't want to give that effect to the armors. I mean, it could just be something you could maybe abuse with Soren's assigned decoy and make it so that he can just have the save Nidhogre, but then have the feud effect on her. So this is going to be having colorless feud as the prerequisite, so it is not the easiest as it is not there on any kind of demode unit, but still colorless feud is present on a couple of units. Mainly it is going to be there on a lot of limited units. It's not exactly present in the Divine Code, sadly, so you would need to have something like extra Legendary Sander or maybe extra Winter Lysithea or something like that. And this is going to be a skill that gives you the Preempt Pulse effect, the special jump essentially before your first attack, but the strength of it comes from the fact that it has got the feud effect built in it. And this is a very strong skill because it enables you to ignore any kind of in-combat effects that the enemies may have, and that may also be something like Duo Rhea's Miracle that they would be taking advantage of. This also gives you the in-combat speed and defense debuff, and this also, because of its feud effect, is going to be able to ignore something like the flat damage reduction support that Sethith can give. So feud effect is very powerful, and the fact that it's present against every single foe that you're going to be facing is good. But again, the limited availability of the skill is the main downfall of it. When it comes to team building with Mythic Elm, you're going to be choosing excessively strong melee units that can just kill anything and then retreat, like Emblem Erica. We have also got Valentine Edelgard as extremely powerful unit. Young Camilla can warp in. Neo Rest Valkyr does get overshadowed a bit with Young Camilla being out, but still, I think that both Mythic Rest Valkyr and Neo Rest Valkyr do have their merits, but you're going to be using him in the Astra season, so that's why I mentioned newer version. And then we have Emblem Sigurd, who has been countered quite a bit with the AoE damage reduction, but when he gets to just kill anything that may be having the undefended status, then it is going to be really good because he does get the extraction, so he can just retreat. It doesn't matter if the enemy has got any kind of firm Canto Curb or not. And similarly, you could just use any kind of lingering nuke or emblem lane herself and just snipe the enemy units with safety fence with the undefended status that Mythic Elm can give. So this is something which is going to be making it ridiculously easy for the offense teams with all of the tools that we have got. So just combine these top tier ranged nukes with the melee nukes, and you've got a team that is just going to be wiping off all of the enemies' units until like the safety fence is off. And you can always choose to support your Lindring or player phase units with many of the support units like Glittering Sakura or Dual Lucina. Dual Lucina again has the middle of the turn debuff, so just like Mythic Elm, she is not going to be having her debuff cleansed. And then we also have Brad Katria, Desert Marissa giving you the Brave effect. So if you're a Lindring user, then you just use Brattle Katria to get the Brave effect. If you're a mixed phase unit and if you're a melee unit who's going to be going in, then Desert Marissa is good. And Spring Plumeria, being the best dancer in the game, is also a superb ally with the player phase strats. Elm already has the +1 movement and the Kanto, so he can just choose to run the Emblem Erica ring, and he does have quite a bit of true damage, so he can hit pretty hard with his in combat undefended status. But if you're mainly going to be using him to support your Lindring nuke, then you can run the combo of speed defense detect and the crux skill. The crux skill is going to be giving the support in the same range as his weapon, and then you also get another middle of the turn debuff with the detect skill. And detect skills are just so strong because of the map wide lull effect that they're able to give to their allies. And you can also run him with Gale Force with Quicken Pulse because he is going to be hitting many times with the Emblem Erica ring, and because of the Null Guard in his slot A, it's pretty easy to trigger it and then get another action. And many times he is just going to be one-shotting the enemy, so that's why you are going to be needing some special cooldown support. And then you can also run Potent. We usually see Potent on the units like Restvalgar or Mythic Restvalgar, who do have insane true damage. Elm, of course, doesn't have the true damage to that level, but still, it's pretty good. You're going to be losing the Kanto effect from his Bestial Agility, so you could try and supplement that with other units that can give out the Kanto status, basically, or the Kanto effect. So there's also, again, Dual Lucina with her Future Witness, and then we have got the max investment build that is going to be able to use the Hold Guide skill. You can also use Barricade, but it is mainly going to be there for the Summoner Duels compression. And the way you use him in Summoner Duels is by having a unit like Duo Hathrin or Mythic Hathrin, and you get the extra action out of Divine Nectar because you need Elm to act so that you can just inflict the enemy with the undefended status. And it's going to be a pretty nice sword to be hanging over the opponent's head because Elm is going to be able to do another action, and then if you have an ally like Emblem Lynch is there to snipe something, then the combination of it with the undefended status is going to be amazing. And Elm can always run Pass in his slot B. He does have good amount of damage. Again, you can just try and give him the Kanto effect either through Cigarette Ring or with someone like Glittering Sakura. Now let's take a look at the Preempt Street skill, and as I said, there is the limited usability of this skill because armor beast units cannot use it, but the Cavaliers do appreciate it, and the best user of it is certainly going to be Spring Aether. She is one of those units who can just T-pose against Emblem Lens and Summoner Duels because she is just so fast, and the faux buff stealer effect of Aether does become pretty strong with Duo Marth being a unit that people are going to be using because he's just going to be buffing up his allies for +7 to all of these stats, and Aether is just going to be going in and making use of her weapon. So the fact that we're also able to get the feud effect with Aether is good because you're going to be able to ignore any kind of in-combat brave effect like from Desert Marissa. The dual strike or triangle attack is still going to be applicable from Brattle Catcher or Winter Cordelia, but usually in Summoner Duels you're going to be seeing Desert Marissa as a bit more. And then we have got a nuke like Winter Ectinier. Unlike his mythic version, he doesn't have that much of unpierceable damage reductions, but still you can run Sturdy Beast and then get the piercing out of Bestial Assault, and this way you're able to just trigger his specials easily because being a free-to-play unit, he doesn't have the slaying weapon, and hopefully we get the fortune scale soon enough for him. You can also run this on any kind of Arcane Nihility user because it does have the faux buff stealer effect, which is aging up to be well with all of these effects that just give out these visible buffs like Candy, And even though it's a really old arcane weapon, because of the foe buff stealer effect, you're able to get a lot of stats. And again, feud is going to be effective here, just like with Spring Aether. And with the foe buff stealer effect, the Beast Threatened did, clash a bit, and so does the Fortune skill. So this is an option that you can run. And for having the Scald-proof nuking, you can basically just have Emblem Marth Ring, and then you've got Time Pulse 4 on Halloween Lead's weapon. And even if you face any kind of Scald effect because of the Preempt Pulse effect, you're going to be able to offset it because the Preempt Pulse and the Scald effects do trigger at the same time, so they can offset each other basically. And then you can also run this on an infantry unit like Bright Nyla, who does get a lot of meaningful effects with her weapon refine. She's got the unhindered movement, she's got the +1 movement, the canto, and then she also has the full piercing, essentially with the Special Spiral 4 built in her weapon. And she does want, null follow-up effect in her slot B, so Bestial Agility does that and gives her a bit better canto basically. And then the Preempt Screed scale is perfect. We also have many of the older units like Naysala, so this helps them with their player phase approach. And then you could also run this on the goats. We do have Nerthus, who I do prefer a bit more compared to Mythic Freyr. The reason being is that she's got the reflect damage, and as you've seen time and time again, having the damage reflection is just so powerful. And Nerthus here does have the special charges and the null guard, so she is easily able to trigger Miracle. It's just that you will need to stack up a lot of speed so that she can double. And then we also have Mythic Freyr, and with the Emblem Marth Ring, you're able to have the double Nimble Beast trigger because you trigger it with the Slotsy skill on your first attack, and then because of the Null Guard effect, you're going to be triggering it on your double, and you just stack up the unpierceable damage reduction with Nimble Beast and the Excel skill so that hopefully you can survive. And Mythic Freyr does have good compression with her slot B remix skill. And then finally, we also have Mythic Ecthenir, who is going to be seeing the usage in the Astra season quite a lot. So this is also another way of using him if you don't want to run Barricade as the support and if you want to take more offensive approach. And then we have got an infantry beast unit like Muarim, who can transform without a fortune skill, so you can run the wild skill so that he can take advantage of the tempo that he gets as an infantry beast, and then you're able to have some unpierceable damage reduction and trigger it twice in a single round of combat. I have revamped my tier list, and this is going to be my Astra Mythic tier list with Elm being out, and he is undeniably the best Astra Mythic because the Undefended in the middle of the turn debuff is just absurd with the offensive tools that we've got with Safety Fence level 2. And the units just hit so hard that once you disable their saviors, you can just pick them off one by one. So Elm also helps you have the calling circle unit, so you can call in another reinforcement. So it does make it easier to clean up the enemy team with that calling circle reinforcement, because they also get the extraction on the turn that they show up. And then I've got Mythic Nidhogre. She is certainly one of the best units in the game and one of the best Far Saviors because of her sheer bulk. And as I've said in my Duo Marth section, she does have a lot of her effects active even if she's at very low HP. She can of course be killed by a lot of nukes and support, but still a formidable unit. And she can have the middle of the turn debuff with her Sabotage status. And Sabotage is a pretty evergreen effect because it helps you have that stat swing. So I do prefer her quite a bit over Neo Nidhogre. It's just the fact that red color is a bit better and matches up to a lot of the green nukes that we've got in the meta. And it also has the debuff, which I do value a bit more compared to the visible status effect that Neo Nidhogre gives. And for her builds, you can basically choose her to be a Far Savior or a Near Savior. The twin skills do help because unlike Newer Nidhogre, she doesn't have the twin save effect in her weapon, so that can help you with the bulk, but still she is ridiculously bulky, so you can choose to run the Sigurd ring for the movement or Emblemerica ring when it comes to near saving and giving her the brave effect. You can also run her with the higher ground But keep in mind that you're going to be having a bit lower bulk because you're going to be missing out on the twin scale. So it's a trade-off, but with the emblem icon giving you the unpierceable damage reduction, it is something you can run with the Hardy Bearing Sacred Seal. Then I've got Plumeria in tier 1 because she's a refresher and I feel like she's really good with the Lindring meta because she does give you the guaranteed follow-up attack with her kit and then the Hexblade effect, and she also just debuffs the enemy with her dance. And the fact that she can run Firestorm Dance and also give you the Desperation status is good if you're not running Emblem Lin as one of the units. So Plumeria I feel like has gotten better with the Lindring meta, and she can just stack up her attack and resistance with Crystalline Water. There is the Havoc skill that she can run, and then she can get the counter out of it. But the cantrip debuff with the Sabotage effect is also quite helpful if you already have Emblem Lin giving you the Desperation effect. And then we have tier 2 mythics with Aether. So Aether has certainly improved quite a bit because of the safety fence level 2 that we have got. So the ending action is good, and a lot of times you're not able to slot in the firm counter curb because a lot of the important infantry units have their preferred slotsy skill, but still there is Athos in the anima season who can run it easily, and I've seen him quite a bit with that skill. But still, Aether is going to be helping you just end the action on turn 1 if your safety fence gets broken. And a lot of times these cavalry units like Emblem Sigurd or Emblem Erica are going to be on the front line, so you can easily end their action because they do not have as much resistance. So the game plan is to simply just stack up a lot of resistance on her so that she can make the full use out of her future focus. Now she has got the Resound skill for the piercing and compression, and I really love Spring May's weapon on her because it's not an arcane weapon. You can still run your preferred slotsy skill, but you're able to double down on the support because Aether's combat isn't really anything to write home about. And then we have got Thor, who did get an amazing remix and refine, and she has also gotten better with time because now we have got access to Haste Slice as an effect. We also have the Emblem Erica ring, which can give you the Brave effect, Assault Force, which gives you the piercing if you run a non-offensive special like Gale Force, and she can often just run Pass as her slot B skill and then Warp with the Celica ring. So because of having that damage reflection, Pavis does become a really good option on her, and she's able to reflect even more damage. And you can also run the Excel skill if you have access to it. As I said, Haste Slice is also really good with her refine because she already gets the piercing out of her weapon, so you don't really need no quarter that badly on her. So a superb unit, and because of her armor effective damage, she's also able to kill a lot of armors. And then we have got Mythic Elm. So her remix is really good. Her refine, not so much, but it's just the fact that we have got an insane utility skill in Ice Lock Plus. Now, of course, not everyone can be Legendary Sakura, but still, having Ice Lock on any kind of healer is so amazing because now we have got a lot of melee units, so the Ice Terrain can help you limit their approach options in combination with, the warp blocking that you can have. So this way you're able to slow down the pace of the match a bit, I find. So it's a good way, and it also helps against the AI because the AI is just going to be breaking the ice block. So you can just waste the action of the enemy units, and you can just run her Discord skill, but Freyr is going to be cleansing that. So Aerobatics I find is pretty nice with Magic Shield Plus if you do not have the best fodder for her from Legendary Sakura. And then we have Aether ending off tier 2. She can also have the infantry access to the skill, so infantry null follow for Breath of Life 4 is just amazing. Even the perfect attack speed, Slash the Sparrow is all good for just stacking up the effects. And as an offensive unit, she can also function there because you're able to stay there for longer with safety fence too. So you can just wait there and get her effects, and then you can just nuke them with the Lin Ring. And then starting tier 3 off, I've got Ectinier, so he does have strong combat, strong cleanup. He does help with the pot retrieval. He also provides the bonus doubler support, but this is that his support is getting countered quite a lot with the dull alt status, with a lot of the lull effects that are present and stuff like detect and the fortune skills. So, there is only so much the bonus doubler status can do. But still, as I said, with Duo Marth, he does extend the ceiling of the visible buffs of those kinds of units, so certainly helpful. And now he has got the option of running Preempt Screech instead of Barricade if you want to have the offensive approach. And then we have got Ashera. So Ashera, just like Ektanir, is strong. She does have formidable combat. She also has the tool of the Havoc skill now. She basically just has to stack up her resistance. She can even run the Lagoose Friend Flare build because she doesn't have Slaying in her weapon. So that actually works in her favor. And if she wants to get the piercing out of her special, then Frost Moon is going to be there as an option. And she is going to be giving you the null follow-up status, which I do find quite useful nowadays because a lot of units are missing that effect. And Ashera herself does hit hard with the weapon refine that she has got, so she is good with the Lindring. And then we have got Veil. The thing with Veil is that the Scout effect doesn't matter as much nowadays. It's good to have, but there are going to be nukes like Young Camilla or Emblem Erica mainly, who has Null Guard, the special charges status, so like you cannot do much with the Scout effect. Sure, you can, double down on the support, make use of the Havoc, skill, but again, if the enemy has got Freyr, then that is going to be getting cleansed. There is the option of using the Rue skill, but if you want a high resistance mage, then I kind of do prefer Ashera over Veil. Ashera also has a bit better cleanup in my opinion as well, and the supportive effect that she provides is a bit more universally useful and can also be used in the Lindring meta, whereas Scowl is inherently more of the defensive effect basically, and with the tools that we've got, you could just go the full offense route. Then starting tier 4 off, I've got Regan, so I do have her at plus and merge in my Mythic core, and she certainly has tools now with the Detect and Shadow Shift, but her combat does have a ceiling, and she is missing the piercing, inner, refine, unlike Otter. So that's why Assault Force is something you can also run. The Insight skill is also nice. Blue Skies also gives you the Canto past the 4th turn, so I kind of like it on Draken because you hate to run out of the Canto after turn 4 because that's when you want to collect the pots, and just running away can be helpful to collect the pots or even run away from the enemy. In tier 4, I've also got Ratatoskr. It's hard to believe that, she came out in the same book as her other siblings like Ektanir, Resvalgar, Haithrin, Nidhogre, all are so good. But unfortunately, Ratatoskr gets the short end of the stick. She was the backpack unit. Her Divine Vein green terrain is useful for the warp blocking, but again, the meta is just so offensively oriented that, yes, the warp blocking is helpful, but still, there are just other tools which can get the job done more efficiently. And she does have new skills now, but her slot C is occupied, and if you're trying to use a Beast Cavalier, then I feel like I like Ektanir a bit better, who is in tier 3 and who has got much stronger combat. And then we have got tier 5 unit in Naga, so she truly does not have much going on for her as a combat unit or as a mythic unit for that matter. Both her weapon and preferred skill is just outdated. She does have other options, but it's nothing really too unique. I guess now she has got the Rescal Echo option, but if you just want a better Naga, then Ancient Naga is there. And then at the very end, I've got Altina. So having the Brave effect, the damage reduction piercing is good, but this is that she doesn't give out the support, and her combat is not on the level of the other top tier Astra Mythics who not only have better combat but also better supportive effects. So Altina again has to run the usual supportive skills. She can also make use of momentum now with Brutal Tempest, so that's good compression. She also has Assault Force. So having a Brave weapon with a damage reduction piercing special is never too bad. And it also has the distant counter effect, but Altina is more to be used as a nuke because she doesn't have access to a lot of flat damage reduction stacking skills because she's too slow for stuff like Wyvern Rift or Pegasus Rift, and she doesn't want to have reopening because she's got the Brave hit, so it kind of pigeonholes her into the offensive role with stuff like Momentum and Assault Force that we've got now. The whole guide skill is also good because she does not want to run Soaring Echo, so that at least can expand the support that she can give out. Overall, this banner is going to be having a lot of value in the red color because you've got the best water legendary in legendary Ira. She's so good as a melee nuke and also as a supportive unit with the potent status. And then we've got the best Astra Mythic in Elm, the best Marth that we've got. Overall, in terms of unit strength, I don't think he is on the level of Young Camilla or Emblem America when it comes to the recent times, but still, I do think that Duo Marth is going to be having a unique value because of his Fire Emblem status and just so many things that he tries to do and can be good at. And then we have got the blue pool. We do have Rearm Nell, who is amazing as a fodder unit, and she is also there in the Divine Code, so you can basically merge up her from there and then refresh your inheritance. There's also Restvalgar and Aethos. As I said before, Restvalgar is a very strong melee nuke who has uncapped true damage. And in the meta that we're in right now with so many debuffing status and buffing status, she is quite powerful. Aethos is also really good. It's just that the calling circle mechanic isn't the best in Aether Raids defense right now. And then in the colorless, we do have Edane, who does have good fodder. At least you're going to be having Magic Shield plus. Ice Lock is way better, but still at least it's something. Elfin is also not that bad, even if you play casually, because he's a strong dancer for the Binding Blade roster. And as you saw with the Nidhogre and Larathar's limited hero battle, having a good Binding Blade unit is going to be quite helpful for those kinds of things. At least until we get Emblem Roy, and if he's really, really good. And then at the last, I would have the green color Camilla and also Legendary Male Robin are kind of old. Hater is nice as another Astra Mythic, but still, they are quite a bit old and their skills do not have as much value. The next month is going to be a month that a lot of people are going to be looking forward to because the Fallen banner is going to be there, and that's a banner that everyone can spark on. And you also get the forging bonds and the tickets, so it can provide you with a lot of value, and it's likely going to be having a rearmed unit. And then Medius is also going to be getting a remix and legendary Myrrh. So these units were unique with their mechanics of Unguard and Warp Bubble, and they really need a lot of help. Attuned Chimera banner did win the poll, so it is going to be getting a Forging Bonds for run. So if you have a lot of Attuned Chimeras from the Hero Rises banner, if you want to complete her or just want to get another charge to your Attuned Inheritance, then that could be an option. Bridal banner is also going to be the seasonal banner of that month, and we're going to be getting a new Fire legendary at the end of the month from the looks, and it is going to be a red unit because they are going to be color sharing with Emblem Erica, very strong nuke, and Nidhogre, very strong tank. The other colors are not going to be anything too special except for Yunaka there along with Larathar, so that color share is quite good if you do not have at least one copy of those units, because they are very powerful even just as a one-off copy. So that's gonna be a banner if you are missing some of the important units like Emblem Erica, for example. So that's gonna be a chance of getting her if you do not already have her. Hopefully this can help you plan your summons better. You can click the link on the screen right now to check out my breakdown and the new Resplendent video that I've got covering Edelgard, Leon, and Female Pilot with their best builds. And you can also subscribe and hit the notification bell, because YouTube sub boxes are about as functional as Marth's weapon if you just kill all of his friends. So with that said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.